This slide shows the responsibilities of the data flow across different actors involved in the delivery of an intervention. So as shown on the previous slide, there are different forms which need to be completed and reported into the DHIS2 managed by Ascend, but the data collection as such will often happen outside of the influence of Ascend. So to take the example here, you would see the full flow mapped out against the different actors. So what you will see, there might be information from an IU, ward or district, which flows up into a health facility or a sub-region, where data aggregated into the county and ultimately into the NTD program. So the whole data collection systems and tools which are used along this part of the flow will be in the full responsibility of the implementing partner or the Ministry of Health. So it's the ministry or the implementing partner who's responsible for developing the tools and implementing these tools. As Ascend, we can help in the review of we will review the tools, and we can help in the updating or development of new tools where required. But ultimately, all data needs to flow up through the system independent of Ascend into a national database, which consists of all the IU level reports. And these data are in fact then entered into the DHIS2, which is managed by Ascend. So Ascend only comes in at that final stage where all the compiled data is digitized and entered into the DHIS2. So Ascend as such compiles all this information and uses that to report to our donor, so FCDO or the third-party monitor. And the same data will be made accessible, of course, to all the partners in country, which would allow them to use that for their own multilateral reporting or reporting to different donors. So in this slide, you see a similar flow process as you've seen for the MDA, this time focusing on disease-specific assessments and the reporting of such. So these are our prevalence surveys, impact assessments, and transmission assessment surveys, as well as our mappings or any other surveillance activities. So on the left-hand side, you see again the different levels at which different data management tasks are completed, starting at sites, which are schools or communities, through to the implementation unit and labs, through to the national offices, and finally into the DHIS2. On the right-hand side, we see the different data management tasks, starting at the site level with the recording of questionnaire items for individuals, as well as their diagnostic test results, usually obtained from rapid diagnostic tests, but in some cases also obtained from slides submitted to the lab. At site level, we also record the supervision checklist on the proper use of tools and the quality of data. So all these information are submitted and aggregated at the implementation unit. So here, aggregation and analysis are done for both the laboratory results as well as the questionnaire data. It's important to note that the data will still be stored at disaggregated to the level of site when they're submitted to the national level. So at national level, we compile all the site level results, which are also geocoded by using a geographic coordinate. At national level, we also record, as previously seen, the training reports as well as the beneficiary feedback from the enumerators. Now, the site level results and the national results of training and beneficiary feedback are entered as such into the DHIS2 data repository from Ascend. Again, this slide shows a similar flow diagram as before, now focusing on MMDP reporting. You will see in this case that community level has been grayed out as the collection of morbidity and establishment of the abundance of morbidities at community level falls under the mapping, which is a disease-specific assessment, so it's not part of this reporting flow. So for MMDP, data collection starts at health facilities or camps, then flowing through to implementation units, through to the national office, and finally into the DHIS2. So at the health facility or camps, we record the TT and hydrocele surgeries or lymphedema management results, which are completed at that facility or camp. At this level, we also record the clinical provision and data on the quality of care, the supply chain and inventory management, and the clinical training results if trainings are given at facility level. Now, all these data are then submitted to implementation unit where they're aggregated into facility-based MMDP reports and clinical quality of care reports. At IU level, if training takes place, we will record the clinical training results here. All these data are then again submitted to the national office where they're compiled into the MMDP reports per IU. And again, if training is conducted at national level, we record the national training reports here. Now, the IU level MMDP reports are reported into the DHS2. So these are the MMDP results, disaggregated by age, gender, as well as the supply chain results for each of the IUs. So in summary, data from one single intervention, for example, an MDA campaign or an MMDP campaign, are collected using different forms. For example, the training data will be captured in one form. The results of the intervention, such as the treatments given, will be collected in a separate form. And thirdly, the supply chain results of that specific intervention will also be recorded in a separate form. In some cases, there might be a round of verification, which will be part of a separate contract, and again reported and recorded through a different form in itself. Secondly, the data collection in the field will be done using existing systems and tools. So this means that every ministry or supplier is responsible for the development, training and use of their own tools as available in country. Where we find that the protocols or procedures are insufficient to capture the data which require, so during review of the proposed protocol or data capturing tools, we find gaps or insufficiencies, Ascent can support the tool development or updating of tools. After an event has been intervention has been completed, Ascent will conduct verification and data quality checks on the reports which were submitted into the DHS2 system. And thirdly, data are entered into the DHS2 system by an implementing partner or ministry partner with support of our Ascent MEL staff at a national level. So all the data collected from the sites or IUs are compiled at a national level and then reported into the DHS2 system for each IU or site. So data are reported per IU, with the exception of disease-specific assessments where they will be entered against each IU, but then still disaggregated by site. And how this is done will be part of different presentations. And all data are disaggregated by age group and gender to ensure that we can report based on equitable delivery and but also equitable service provision. So the data collection processes, roles and responsibilities, and the data standards which are using are all described in form-specific SOPs, standard operating procedures, which will be made available to you as a reference. Thank you very much for joining this presentation. And goodbye.